I think I may have a few bloopers in here in this hour-long video. I've never done one this long for YouTube. So I'm piecing all of my videos together. And if there's a couple bloopers in here, I just hope you ignore them. Daily wisdom. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, I normally do my 5-minute videos, my 5-minute wisdom on one topic. So now I'm trying to combine a lot of topics into one video. Sometimes the videos will be shorter, sometimes they'll be longer, and yet they'll kind of jump from one subject to the other. It saves me a lot of time, and as I get better with editing, I'll start putting little things in between each topic. But right now, what you see is what you get, and I give you concentrated wisdom from my perspective and from Grandma's porch. I have a lot to tell you. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, grab your popcorn and sit down, relax, and get ready for the ride. Well, I just did this video a moment ago, and then I discovered I had a little piece of gum on my bottom tooth, and it ruined the whole video. So I'm redoing it again. So when you do these videos, you just never, ever know until you go to edit it. I chew gum, and especially when I'm out running, because I was told that it cleans your teeth. And of course, I'm very meticulous about my teeth. I brush them, and I have the electric toothbrush, and I have the water pick and all of that. And I floss all the time, but I also chew gum. But sometimes it sticks to your teeth, and it stuck to my teeth, and I did the video. What you see is what you get. Well, we are having a beautiful, beautiful day out here on Grandma's porch, and I am just loving it. Finished my 5-mile run. We are getting ready to make dinner as a family, and we're going to make a Southern style type of dish. Potato skins loaded with all the goodies, and we put all kinds of good stuff on them, and we bake the potato skins. You kind of dig out the potato, a large portion of it, and you bake them, and then you put all kinds of goodies in them. So I just love them, and we put the goodies on like a tray so everybody can kind of make it their way. Since I'm vegan, I'm very particular about what I put on there, and the rest of my family, they like all kinds of stuff, so they put different things on theirs. But I wanted to share with you a little bit about how I'm going to go forward some of the time with my videos. Now, y'all know I make these little short videos anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. Very concentrated wisdom, which is what I like to give. I don't like a lot of filler in there. I've had wisdom teachers that just put so much filler, it takes forever to get to the wisdom part. And so I give you my wisdom, my perspective on issues, on life. I share my own life with you, a lot of my own life. I don't share it all with you, but I share some of it with you. And it's all my own perspective. It's not suggestions, it's not ideas, it's not advice. I don't give any of that. It's just how I see the world, how I see different issues. I cover a lot of very hard topics because I think a lot of people are so in wanting to hear about the harder topics of life. We often hear about how to achieve success, but part of achieving success is getting through difficult and challenging situations so that we can achieve success. So I deal with all kinds of issues. Because I am so busy, I'm a 62-year-old college student, more than full-time college student, even though the college is closed down right now. I'm still doing all my work online, and it's a lot of work. I love it, but it keeps me very, very busy. I have 3 young adult children. I have a husband. We do a lot of things as a family. I write. I'm an artist. I paint. I work out every day. I dance. I run. I decorate. I cook. I do so many things. So I'm trying to consolidate my time. And each video that I make takes a certain amount of time to put it together. So what I'm going to try to do is bring my wisdom, a lot of different topics into one video. So instead of the video being 5 minutes in length, it may be longer, quite a bit longer. And you'll get a lot of topics in one video. You may get a lot of hairstyles and a lot of different looks all in one day. And some days I will put out my 5-minute videos. Other days I'll put out a longer version because actually it saves me time, and a lot of people like the longer version because, well, they can sit back, relax, and listen to one video. They can put it on pause and go back to it later, however they want to do it. But it's more concentrated wisdom. I'm not real good at editing yet. I'm getting better, but not real good. So if I splice these together, it may look like I'm just jumping from one topic to the other until I can figure out how to put the little fancy things in there, the fancy editing, and kind of transition from one topic to the other. But till then, it may look a little more where it just jumps from one topic to the other, so y'all understand. So get your popcorn, get ready, relax, and I'm going to start talking my daily wisdom. I'll talk to y'all in a moment. See you then. Try a new look. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, since I'm splicing these videos together, I probably don't have to say hello, y'all, in each one. As y'all know, I normally put my videos separately, but I decided just to try something new and give you a little bit of everything in one video, okay, that I get in one day. So we'll see how it works. Let me know if you like it, okay? Well, I got to thinking about try something new. You know, it could be a new restaurant. Well, restaurants aren't open here right now, but you know what I'm saying. Could be a new church. It could be adding a new friend to your life. It could be a new hobby that you've never tried before. It could be going to a new town and seeing something new. It could be a new hairstyle. It could be a new scarf that you wear in your hair. It could be a new look that you decide to have. It could be a new fingernail polish. It could be a new whatever. Sometimes when we freshen up our lives with something new, it can be exciting. It can even be kind of exciting to the people around us. So I'm always working with new looks, new ways of doing things, new places to go. I love that new energy. So perhaps try something new. Assumptions. I got to thinking about people who make assumptions. Some people go around making assumptions about everything. And some people have a lot of misinformation as a result of that and make incorrect choices and decisions. Sometimes people will misjudge other people just based on assumptions. I don't like to assume anything. When I was in college, I remember one of my teachers said that assuming anything was, she broke the word down, assume, ask you, me. She did. She did. That's what she said. And so I believe that. I try not to assume anything about anybody, and I try not to assume anything about a situation until I have the information at hand, because it's important to to have great information before we make a judgment call in most cases and most situations. And if we don't, what can happen is we can make a judgment call, we can make a judgment on someone else, we can make a decision based on faulty information because we are assuming. And when you assume, what did my teacher say? So I believe in trying not to assume anything. From my house to yours. Having a great sense of humor. You know, I got to thinking about the importance of having a great sense of humor. Humor used right can be an amazing tool. Humor used wrong can be, it can really work against a person. And so I believe in using humor in the right way. Humor should never be done to diminish anyone, not even ourselves. It should be done in a way that lifts other people up and makes them smile, but never ever done at the expense of anyone. And I believe that humor has to be done in the right timing, because if we do humor in a more serious situation, sometimes that's not the proper place to do it. It just depends. But sometimes humor done right in the right situations, in the right timing, can lighten up a situation. It can make things so much easier on everybody and put a smile on their face. And yet, at the same time, like I said, it's important to use humor in the right timing, in the right places, and in the right way. Cheaters and liars. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. I got to thinking about cheating and lying, and they're both very, very bad. When someone cheats, they basically have to lie because they have to deceive. And anytime someone has to deceive, especially someone who's been good to them, then really and truly, they probably will never gain back the trust that they once had, because trust can take a lifetime to build and only a moment to destroy. And so lying and cheating kind of go hand in hand. They're kind of like brother and sister or cousins or whatever, because when you cheat, you're lying. And when you're lying, in a sense, you're cheating someone else of the truth. And so I believe in being honest, and yet not all honest words should be said. I do not believe in lying. I believe that whatever we say needs to be honest. But just because something is honest doesn't mean we need to say it. If our boss is wearing an ugly dress, is it right for me just to go up to my boss and say, hey, you're wearing an ugly dress? No, probably not. That's a truthful word, but I'm going to hold back that truth because it's really unnecessary for me to say that truth. In other situations, it may be necessary to say the truth. And so I believe that when we lie, we diminish who we are and we are deceiving another person. So whether it's lying or cheating, to me, both are wrong. From my house to yours. Telling people that you can't do it all. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. I'm a firm believer that we can't do it all. We can't be it all. So it's important that we're selective and focused in on what we can do. Often I'll tell my family, I'll say, you know what, I just can't do it all. I can't be it all. And so often I'll ask other family members if they can help me. Like tonight, we're going to make dinner together as a family rather than me stand there and do all the work because, well, they're able to help me. And so I let my family know, hey, I can't do it all. But also, like even when I've worked in an office setting, I let other people know that I can't do it all. I can do specific things, and I'm there for those specific things. But if I get overloaded, I'm probably not going to do anything all that well. So I make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and giving what I'm supposed to be doing the focus. Quit telling me how to live. Hello, y'all. I got to thinking about people who tell other people how to live. I remember I have this one friend many, many years ago. They even told me how to sit on a chair. I liked, when my kids were small, I used to sit on the side of my chair because I was constantly getting up, like if one of them was in a high chair and I had to feed them. So I would sit more on the side of the chair. Well, my friend said, why do you sit on the side of the chair? Sit in the middle of the chair. And I thought, you know what? Sitting on the side of the chair works for me. When I go to bed at night, I like a fan in the background. Even in the winter, I like that buzzing noise, that humming noise. It works well for me. I like an electric blanket. That works well for me. I like certain things my way. I like to take a bubble bath rather than a shower, although sometimes I take a shower too. And so we all have our preferences. We all have our likes and our dislikes. And my one son, he doesn't like anything with tomatoes to it. My other son loves everything with tomatoes in it. And I don't tell my one son who loves tomatoes not to like tomatoes. And I don't tell my son who doesn't like tomatoes to like tomatoes. We all have our likes and dislikes. And so I don't want anyone telling me what I should like and what I shouldn't like. Situations bring people together. I got to thinking about how relationships are often formed and how they're often developed. It's often through a project. It's often through an event. It's often through a place that we all meet and hook up together. Could be a workplace. It could be a social situation. It could be a neighborhood project. It could be a neighborhood that we all have something in common. Sometimes a problem will connect people and form relationships. Sometimes a similarity will form relationships. When my children were really small, we moved to a new neighborhood, and to this day, I have a best friend that resulted from that move. She had children the very same age as my children. So we had a lot in common there that bonded us together. Even though now our kids are grown, we still have a lot in common. And so sometimes having similar interests or similar situations will bring people together. Sometimes just going to the same place over and over and having that common bond will bring people together. People are brought together usually through something in a sense that they're working on together or working towards together. I was watching a YouTube video the other day on how this couple met. They had both worked on a soap opera, and different soap operas, but they had a lot in common because the soap operas were kind of filmed next door to each other. And so they built their relationship through their work. And they had a lot of similar interests. And so often we meet people and connect with people through similar events, problems, wonderful projects that we're working on, neighborhoods, work situations. Almost anything can connect us, but make sure it connects you in a good way. Downsizing or closing off rooms. Well, you know, today I got to thinking about when I was growing up. People didn't downsize. If they had a big house, when they got older and the kids moved away and it was just one or two people living there, they just closed off rooms. They closed off bedrooms upstairs or wherever the bedrooms happened to be. And then in more recent years, people began to downsize. They went from a big house to a smaller house to a smaller house to whatever. And so for me, will I downsize? I hope not. I love my house. I think I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way and just shut off rooms. And I also always say that my retirement home won't be a nursing home. It'll be a motorhome. I love motorhomes. And, you know, even if it was a pull-along like a camper, I love those too. And I love the Class A's, the Class C's, the diesels I'm not so good at because we had a diesel motorhome one time and I tried driving it. And it had air brakes, and I never felt real comfortable with the air brakes, although I guess they're really, really good. And it was big. It was a great big, like, bus. And but I love motorhomes, so probably if I was going to downsize, it would be to a motorhome, and or a camper or something like that. But that is like further down the line, and I think even then I would still keep my house, and I would just close off the rooms. Experiences or investments. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, I'm all about investing in the future. I'm all about that. And yet I'm also about living in the moment and creating new wonderful memories every day of my life. Some people live off their old memories. I believe in creating new memories each and every day in every single season of my life. I cherish my old memories. I consider them my treasure. And yet, I just don't want my treasure to be the past. I want my treasure to be in the present and in the future. So I'm always creating new memories. And yet, I don't do them at the expense of my future. I try to balance my present with my future. So the question sort of is, should one invest more in their present moment and create the experiences, or should they invest in their future? I believe in doing both. I believe that often we don't have to sacrifice the future for the present or the present for the future. We can sometimes balance it. You know, my husband and I were talking this morning as we were sitting up in bed, and we were talking about our wonderful motorhome trips when our children were little. We could never get those kind of motorhome trips back. We could still have motorhome trips, but they wouldn't be quite the same. When our kids were little, it was so magical and fascinating as we're driving, you know, from one state park to the other, homeschooling in the motorhome, going on Route 66, going down to Key West, going up to the northwest and to the northeast in our motorhome. Our kids had such a wonderful experience at that stage of their lives. And we did as well because we were all sharing it together. So some memories are worth the investment in the present moment. And those memories for us were very much worth that investment that we took to make it happen. And yet, I always believe that we can balance life for the most part. And so I like to think that I'm balancing my present with my future, that I'm creating wonderful new memories to add to my old memories, that I'm not solely relying on my old memories. And I combine all of them along with all my visions, dreams, goals for my future. Environments make all the difference. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, you know what? I got to thinking about environments. You know, we're all in different environments. We're all in an environment. And I believe that environments play such an important part in how our lives turn out. Our jobs are environments. Our churches are environments. Our home is an environment. The town we live in is an environment. The store that we go to, the restaurant that we go to is an environment. The running trail that I go on is an environment. Everything has an environment to it. Even the internet has an environment. And so I believe in choosing right environments for ourselves. For me, I've been on jobs that I did not like. They were the wrong environment for me. They were what I called bridge jobs, jobs that just got me from point A to point B until I could find the job that I really, really wanted. And so for me, that was a wrong environment because I was unhappy in it. And there was little that I could do to create the happiness that I wanted. And so I eventually found a job or jobs that I wanted. You know, when we live in a town or a city or wherever, and if it doesn't suit our personality, it could be the wrong environment for us, even though it may be the right environment for someone else. So finding a right environment to live in that offers us what we want that will make us happy often is the key. And then it could be a job. If we get on one of those jobs that we don't like, finding a job that we do love is so important. Finding a church, just because our friends love this particular church, doesn't mean that church is right for me. And so I want to find the right environment for me. And I want to find positive environments that are going to lift my life up in a positive way. Some neighborhoods I would not want to live in. Sometimes you get into a neighborhood. I was in a neighborhood one time full of bickering and gossip and backstabbing, and I wanted no part of that. Then I moved to another neighborhood that was the opposite of it. It was wonderful. So they were both environments. One was very positive, and to me, the other one was very negative. And so what I'm saying is our environments can produce opportunity for us when we choose the right environment. If we choose the wrong environment, the opportunities that we want may not be there. And if we want the right friendship, sometimes we have to choose the right places to meet the type of friends that we want, that we have something in common with. And it could be almost any kind of environment. Our successes in life are tied to the environments that we place ourselves in. If we place ourselves in a wrong environment for us, where we can't grow and can't flourish in the way that we want, it may be a right environment where other people flourish, but we're not flourishing because it's not right for us. So finding the right environments in all aspects of our lives is very, very important. When people leave on a bad note, I believe that when people leave a situation, a job, a neighborhood, a church, whatever, when they leave on a bad note, it's often because they don't like how they felt in that environment. And often they don't like how they felt because of their own poor decisions. Now, I'm not saying in every situation when people leave on a bad note that it's because of something that they did, but often it is. I knew someone that said, I just want to get out of this town. Well, you know what? I don't blame them, and I think it was a good idea that they got out of this town because they had created so much disharmony in their life, and they made so many bad decisions that maybe a fresh new start would do them good. Only though if they had reconciled that it was really them that had caused the problem, not the town itself. Often people will say, I don't like that job, or I don't like that town, or I don't like that gym or that church, when indeed it's really not the gym, the church, the town, or anything else, but it's their own attitude, their own choices, their own behaviors that have caused the unhappiness with that situation. Yes, sometimes moving to a new environment can help us start new and fresh in so many different ways, and I'm all for that in some situations. And yet, if a person hasn't reconciled why they are actually leaving and moving on and felt disharmony where they were at, sometimes they're not going to do any better in the new place than they did in the old place, especially if they created all that havoc and disharmony. So sometimes when people leave on a bad note from somewhere, or even when they leave on a good note, but they're kind of wanting to get away from that place or situation or job or whatever, if they haven't come to terms with what created their unhappiness, they may not have a different experience where they go. So I believe it's important for us to understand why we are leaving somewhere. What role did we play in the unhappiness, if any? Perhaps we didn't. Perhaps we just want a new start away from events that took place that were out of our control, that had nothing to do with us. But if we had some responsibility, or all the responsibility for the way things turned out wherever we were, on the job, in the town, in the church, wherever, and we don't correct that before we get to the new place, sometimes we will just keep repeating it over and over. So, for me, it's important to leave things better than when I came in, and to leave on a good note. So I think leaving on a good note is the best way to go. The only good thing about mistakes is you realize what doesn't work. Your life is never ruined, no matter how many mistakes you've made, unless you give up. I believe that no matter what mistakes people have made in life, and some people have made a lot of mistakes, but most everybody has made some mistakes. And some people say, oh, my life is forever ruined. Your life is never ruined as long as you are alive. You have a purpose for being here, and you can turn your life around. It may not be in the same direction that you originally were going in, but you can turn your life around in a most positive way and create a new, wonderful life based on new circumstances. And never ever say that your life is ruined because of a certain set of circumstances, choices, or decisions. You can always create a new, wonderful life. Light on the criticism, heavy on the praise. The other day, my son and I, he asked me, he said, Mom, I'm working on a college project, and they want me to do 2 responses to someone else's project. And I said, well, remember what I always tell you, light on the criticism and heavy on the praise, because they wanted one critical point, and then they wanted you to tell something good. And I said, the foolish people will be heavy on the criticism and light on the praise. I said, always remember, be light on the criticism and heavy on the praise. Don't ever let someone tell you that you're not good enough. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne, and I got to thinking about when people tell someone else you're not good enough. Sometimes they don't actually say it in words, but their attitude conveys that. Other times they'll try to diminish someone in just a specific area. You're not good enough. You don't do things good enough. I remember many years ago my mom telling me that someone had once told her that she made a lousy bed. Well, my mom made the best bed in the whole world. I mean, the sheets were always clean and crisp and neat, and it was just the most perfect, awesome bed. I've never been in a bed that was more perfect than the one my mom could make. And yet, somebody had told her long before that. And so I think she spent her life trying to create the perfect bed in response to what that person had demeaned her. Well, even though it had kind of a positive consequence to what that person said, I think likely that person was just a very, very critical person. And I think she always made a great bed because my mom was very particular about her bed. And I remember one time someone said something to me about my bathroom. It was a little bit messy. And do you know what? After that, I had the most spotless, crystal clean, perfect bathroom ever, and to this day I do, although it was a very negative generated statement that they had made. So I remember I always had a nice bathroom. It was always neat and clean. So I took that criticism, that put down, and I did turn it into something very positive. And yet, I think sometimes we remember those hurtful statements by people long after they're done. So I never, ever accept when someone is trying to put me down. There's a big difference between correction and criticism. Criticism is meant to diminish or demean you. Correction is meant to help you be better. And so, I remember when I lived in Europe, and I had a landlady, and she would tell me that my windows did not sparkle enough. Well, now to this day, I have the sparklingest windows ever. I'm a bit neurotic about it as a result. I'm out there at least once a week doing my windows, inside and out. But she was very critical because, well, she did her windows like every other day. And so she kind of put me on that trajectory of doing windows all the time. So yes and no. Sometimes out of a criticism can come something good. I think hers was more correction. Out of a criticism or even a correction, sometimes something very positive can come out of that. But never ever let someone make you feel less than because you don't do it their way. Sundays are my day of rest. Hello, y'all. I got to really thinking about Sundays. I love Sunday because I don't make my bed on Sunday. I let myself sleep in a little bit later. And right now I listen to my online preacher because, well, all the churches are closed. And I go for my run, but I don't do much of anything. I just rest, recharge, and relax. I let my schoolwork go until Monday. And usually it's all done by Sunday anyhow. And I let everyone help me around the house and doing the dishes. I don't cook on Sunday. I let everyone else cook. And so it's my day of rest. I think we all need a day of rest, and Sunday happens to be mine. People who drive you crazy. We all have those people in our lives that just drive us crazy. And likely we drive people crazy too. My husband, he's not a YouTuber. He watches YouTube videos, but he's not a YouTuber. He doesn't make YouTube videos. And that's kind of the last thing he'd ever do. And I probably drive him crazy and my family crazy, standing here in the kitchen day after day doing my YouTube videos. And so there's good crazy, and I think they really like it and they really enjoy it. But, there are those people that just drive us crazy. They have these little habits or things that they do. And we go, oh my gosh, here they come again. And, it just drives us crazy. But sometimes also those little things that they do can endear them to us. How someone makes you feel. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. People will remember how you made them feel, good or bad. And if you make them feel bad, they're going to remember that probably for a very long time, and they may never forget that, even when things smooth out. And when we make people feel good, they remember that too. People go towards what makes them feel good and away from what doesn't make them feel good. And if we're critical of people and we're nasty or we're harsh or we're rude or we're whatever, people aren't going to want to come back to us. But if we're positive and uplifting and upbeat and caring and kind and thoughtful, often they're going to want to come back to us. Schedule time with the people you love. You know, I schedule time with my husband. You know, he has this a busy schedule, and my life is so busy because I go to college full time and so many other wonderful things I'm doing. We schedule time for each other. We make time for each other. That's exclusively our time and nobody else's time, and no other projects, no other focuses, except we put our focus on each other. I schedule time with my kids so that I can give them individual attention rather than group attention. You know, rather than like us together at the dinner table, I'll find time where we can sit to the side or be to the side or play a board game or something like that. But I give them my individual time. Schedule time with the people that you love. Get along or get away. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. You know, if I can't get along with somebody for whatever the reason is, I just try to get away from them because that sucks away my positive energy. Some people, for whatever the reason, we just don't connect. We just don't get along. Sometimes other people are just not nice, and no matter what we do, they're not going to be nice and they're not going to be thoughtful. And so we can't make them that way. We can only make ourselves behave a certain way, and sometimes we don't even want to be nice to people like that. So for me, if I can't get along with someone, I just simply get away. Disconnect from users. You know, there are people in life that use other people, and they usually don't use other users because a user can spot another user. They usually prey on givers and nice people. Users prey on nice people. They prey on givers. And so with users, I avoid users. I identify who a user is and I avoid them. Guard your reputation. You know, many years ago, I had a job and I was working on that job, and we had this huge event, this huge yearly event. And so they kind of positioned all of us throughout this big kind of auditorium type of thing. And I was kind of handling artwork and some really nice pieces of artwork. And so they set up, for some reason, they set up like all these cans of soda or something like that in front of me, like a pyramid. And this guy his wife was in the kind of next to me doing whatever they were promoting, and she was over there, and so he was talking to her, and then he came over and he had a baseball in his hand, and he took that baseball and he hit all my cans, and when he hit them, they splattered open and they splattered on the artwork. Well, the artwork was okay, but I was kind of stunned that he would do something like that. A couple of hours later, I went to the back, and my boss came up to me and she said, Brienne, because she called me Brienne, she said, have you been drinking? I said, no, I don't drink. She said, well, I know you don't drink. I know you don't drink. And I said, yeah, but she said, someone said you were drinking. And I started crying. I said, I don't drink. You know, and I couldn't imagine who would have said that and why they wouldn't have said that. So within about a few minutes, I pieced it together. It was that guy that had taken the baseball and hit all the pop cans and exploded them. He went to my boss to protect himself for whatever I might say against him. So I went back to my boss and I said, was it so-and-so? And she said, well, I can't tell you, but it was. And here they had lied on me. They tried to ruin my reputation. And so, you know, sometimes people will come into your life and try to ruin your reputation, and you have to guard your reputation. You have to guard who you are. But in the case that someone has damaged your reputation and they've lied about you, and people do lie, like in that case, sometimes all you can do is move forward in a most positive way and know that sometimes you can't change other people's opinions or what other people think. You've just got to guard your reputation, guard what you do, guard your choices and decisions. And if someone else has lied on you, you've just got to try to straighten it out to the best of your ability. And if you can't straighten it out, you move forward in the most positive way, but protect your reputation. Avoid people who discourage you from living your best life. I'm not talking about corrective people who are, love us and are concerned with our choices. You know, I've had people that love me and tried to stop me from my choices, even though they turned out to be right choices, because they loved me and they were concerned and they were worried. I didn't avoid those people. I knew that they loved me and I valued them in my life. But other people just have a habit of when they see someone reaching for what they really want, they try to discourage them. They try to hold them back. And often it's because of jealousy. I often say the closer we are to the successes we want, the people that are also trying to climb that ladder sometimes get jealous. And sometimes that's just a fact of life. And yet, one of the things that we need to remember is that when we are climbing, we pay attention to what we're doing. Yes, it's good to pay attention to what other people are doing too. But if we concern ourselves too much with the success of other people rather than our own successes, it can hold us back. And we don't want to do that. We want to help other people achieve their successes, and yet we don't want to be so absorbed in their successes that it holds us back from our own successes. But when people get jealous of some people's successes, it's just a reflection that you're their competition in their mind. I don't look at other people as competition. I'm my only competition. Value your time. Value how you use your time. Use your time wisely. Use your time in the right way, in the right manner. Maximize your time. You know, I don't like to waste my time. That's why I'm doing all these videos and putting them into one rather than do separate little videos. I can do a 30-second video now and put it in with all the other videos, and it turns out to be a 30, 40-minute video instead of me having to go on and on about a subject that I can kind of do concentrated wisdom in 30, 40 seconds about a subject. I love that. I value my time, and I value other people's time. And if someone doesn't value my time, well, I kind of move back a little bit. From my house to yours. Talk to you soon. You know, some things you'll never have enough of. You know, I think sometimes I'll never have enough YouTube subscribers. I'm always going to want more. There's never enough money. We're always going to want more, no matter how much we get. And, you know, even when we get to that perfect size, we want to get to the next perfect size. I think sometimes our desires and our goals are endless. And I think that's fine to have open-ended goals. I mean, you know, having an open-ended goal means it's never going to quite be finished. So I believe in being satisfied and happy with where I'm at the moment as I'm traveling towards where I want to go. Changing your choices, big and small. You know, when we change our choices, we change our lives. So many people are stuck or they're not happy with their lives. And I always say, change your choices. You know, sometimes our choices start with changing our attitude, changing how we perceive things, changing how we believe about things. And sometimes, though, we have to go outward and change our environment, change the situation, change certain aspects. But when we change our choices and we change our decisions, we change our lives. It's not superficial to take care of your looks. You know, some people say, oh, I don't want to be superficial. I don't want to focus on my looks. Why not? You know, I'm 62 years old and I still focus on my looks. I focus on my health, my looks, my relationships, me being the best person that I can be. I focus on all kinds of things, but why not also focus on our looks? I believe in focusing on our looks as well. Reinvest in your important relationships. Take time for your important relationships. You know, there was a time when someone invested in their relationships and then they got busy and they got sidetracked and they had new goals and new visions and their relationships began to get diminished because they weren't focusing. I'm not saying that we can give the same amount of time and energy to a relationship that we always did, but when we stop giving positive energy to our relationships, they often diminish. And yet when we begin to give back positive energy into those relationships, often they will flourish again. Rest is part of the success equation. Hello, y'all. You know, we are having this beautiful day. It's a little bit windy out here. I'm just loving it. And, you know, I got to thinking about rest being part of the success equation. You know, when we're not rested, we often make a lot of mistakes, but when we're rested, we often do so much better. So I make sure that I'm rested before I make any major decision, or even a minor one sometimes. Why hobbies can be good for you. You know, I believe that hobbies can be a really, really good thing for us. I think that as long as it doesn't overshadow our real focuses in life. Now, some people get a hobby and it becomes more important than what they really should be focused on. So I think we have to have balance in our lives, but I believe in hobbies. Hobbies can really rest, recharge, and relax us to the point that we do so much better in all other areas of our lives. See See yourself where you want to be rather than where you are. You know, I truly believe that we need to have perspective of the future and the way we want it to look. So often people give up and they say, well, this is the way it's always going to be. But I believe in looking towards the future as well as embracing everything in the present. Yes, sometimes we have circumstances that we have to deal with and we have to focus on, and we have to acknowledge that they may be around for a while. And yet we can always be working towards a wonderful, better future for ourselves, one that we dream of, one that can be everything that we want. You know, I've had times in my life where things didn't seem to ever be working out at the moment, and yet, you know what? I always held the faith that things would work out and that things would change. Today, I got to thinking about when my mom and I used to go to this one restaurant when we first moved to California that used to have those potato skins and pot pies. Oh, I loved those. And it was as wonderful as I had so many wonderful memories. Those early times were kind of a time of struggle because we were just starting out new and fresh in California. But yet, I remember that times did change and life did change. And now I cherish those memories, those times that, well, I was kind of hoping that would kind of fast forward quickly. Now I wish I had some of them back. But just remember, keep your focus on your future and that all that is wonderful in your future, and cherish your memories as well. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. Sundays, concentrated wisdom. You can't expect people to stay the same. People are always changing in life. You know, I'm not exactly the same as I was when I was 20, 25, 30, 40, 50. We're always changing, and yet we're still the same. People are the same, and yet they're always changing. No, there are nasty people in the world. It's just a fact of life. They're in every walk of life. My way of dealing with nasty people is to do my best at avoiding them. There's a right way to correct someone and a wrong way. I believe that when we correct someone, we have to be very careful in how we correct them, the choice of words, and how we approach them, because often they'll look at it as criticism. So I believe in correcting someone with love. I believe in asking them if it's okay that I can correct them. And if they say that it's okay, I still believe in being very kind and not abrasive, very thoughtful. The more that we can use praise and the less criticism that we use, often the better. And I don't use criticism, I use correction. Correction's meant to lift us up, not put us down. Criticism is meant to put us down. So be very, very cognizant when you go to correct someone that you do it very delicately, if at all possible. There's times in life that we shouldn't correct someone. There are times that it's not our place to correct them, nor should we. A lot of times it can work against us and the person's not going to listen anyhow. There is a time to correct certain people at certain times. Wisdom comes in knowing who to correct, when to correct, and how to correct. Don't just be there for what you can get. Be there because you want to be there to give something, to contribute something. If you want to get a woman to fall in love with you, men, be kind, be thoughtful. I know a lot of men say, well, I'm kind and thoughtful and women walk all over me. Maybe that was the wrong woman that walked all over you, because the right woman loves kind and caring and thoughtful men. How to get a man to fall in love with you, women. Well, you know, I believe in how to get a man to fall in love with you is to be kind and thoughtful and loving and caring and giving. And a lot of women will say, well, men walked all over me because I was kind and loving and thoughtful and giving. Well, that likely was the wrong man, because right men will not walk all over you. So if a wrong man walked all over you, he's just preparing the way for the right man to enter your life. We've all been through things in life, but you can make it through. You know, I've been through a lot of things in life and I didn't think I could get through, or I didn't know if I could get through. But I believe the power of positive thinking and the power of focus and the power of faith and the power of believing in prayer. You can get through it. Whatever you're going through, you can get through it. Grandma used to say, wash your hands of some people. People with bad intentions should say, wash your hands of some people. Don't have anything to do with them. And we release ourselves from responsibility for other people's bad behavior. You know, sometimes we take it upon ourselves. We blame ourselves for other people's poor choices, their poor decisions. But often it has nothing to do with us. It has to do with them. They chose to make those choices and decisions. So sometimes we have to release ourselves from the responsibility of other people's poor choices and decisions. There are always going to be people who try to draw you into an argument, and for me, I avoid them the best of my ability. Sometimes curiosity is not a good thing. People often think of curiosity as being a redeeming quality, and it can be. When we're curious, we want to know more. And yet there's some things that we should not know more about. We don't want to know more about. Some things are not worth our time, and some things can draw us in when we're curious. So curiosity can work in a good way, or it can work in a negative way. Make it work in a good way. You count in life. So many people put other people before them, and they don't think that they count. But you do count in life. You count, you count, you count. Count yourself in instead of counting yourself out. Don't celebrate with someone who disrespects you. Celebrate with people who love and adore you and care about you. You can't make someone want to make something of their life when they don't want to make something of their life. We can encourage, we can love, we can help, we can lift up, but if they don't want to lift their own selves up to that level, there's not a whole lot that we can do. Well, I just want to thank you all for listening to my daily wisdom. I'm trying, this is all new, where I kind of put them all together. It's not like where I have it really fancy editing. It's just very generic editing because it saves me time. But as time goes on and as I have more time, I may get a little fancier at it. Thank you all. May God bless you, and I'll talk to you all soon again. Bye-bye. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this hour-long version of my wisdom. We'll call it Sunday wisdom, okay? And, you know, I don't know if I'll just do my 5-minute videos or my 10-minute videos or 20-minute videos, but I have to find a way that makes it easier for me. And this just sort of gives me a wide variety of topics that I can share with you without having to go on and on with them. Sometimes it might be 20 or 30 seconds on a topic, or sometimes it might be a couple minutes. And yet when I put them all together, they have a longer video. Whereas if I have a 30-40 second video or a minute-long video, that's not very much to put up. So I like this idea. Now I'm going to get better at, you know, splicing and editing and doing little fancy things, but right now I just kind of put it all together, and so it's kind of generic, and yet you've all got my wisdom, and I'm sharing my daily insights with you all, and I'll see how it goes. I'll probably do it both ways, and yet this was kind of something new I thought of when I was out on my run, and I want to see how it goes. So let me know what you think, okay? Love you all much. Talk to you soon. From Grandma's porch to wherever you're at, I'll talk to you then. And oh yes, thank you so much for joining me today.